All right, ready?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Count down.
That was great, man.
Ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, welcome to Where You At Podcast. I'm C-Talk. These are the other co-hosts. What's up? Today we're going to do something a little new. We're going to do a movie review, and we selected The Crow, 1994 film. I don't know if you've seen it, but we're about to dig into it. Here we go. Have you guys seen The Crow? Everybody watched The Crow, right?
There's two though.
right.
There's two though, but we're talking about the older one, right?
Yeah, we're talking about the
Yeah.
1994 cult classic film.
1994 with Brandon Lee. Bruce
Yeah.
Lee's son, yep.
Yeah.
All right.
I've heard about it, like the story that happened behind like the production and everything,
Yeah.
but I finally got to watch the movie and I'm like very impressed. Like I kind of just had like these
What were you
feelings of like
impressed
it was good. I was just impressed about like the special effects, like the filming for it being 1994. Like for me, just working in visual effects, like for what they were doing during that time was like pretty amazing for me. So like right off the bat, the visual and the aesthetics of like the film was like it caught me.
Mhm.
It grabbed me.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, right off the bat, pretty dark. I mean,
Yeah.
I watched it a long time ago, but rewatching it, I was like, wow,
Did it give you like Gotham?
it was like kind of like Batman-ish.
Yeah, it was like very gothic.
Very Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very gothic, very metal.
Very metal because he was in a band, right? Yeah.
It was super
Musician,
metal.
It was in a
guitar.
band. Yeah, that's crazy.
Should we talk about the synopsis of the movie?
Yeah.
Okay. So The Crow is about a guy who is in a band, comes home, his girlfriend gets murdered, or his fiancée, I guess, gets murdered and raped. So he goes on a vengeance, and he also dies.
Yeah.
And he comes back from the dead and goes on like a quest to kill the killers.
It's a good revenge plot.
I think during that time, what I was reading, because I did a lot of like a little bit of research before, was during that era of like the 1990s, like movies, like they were heading like towards a dark city aesthetic, like anti-hero, like vengeance, like vibe. So a lot of that type of movie was going on during that time,
Right.
which I think inspired like a lot of like Batman to like Joker too.
Yeah, there's a lot of different characters. So I got notes. Let me pull this up. I mean, for me, I saw 5 people, and maybe some of them are not right, but you got to tell me. So I saw Batman and Joker.
Yeah.
Right, same character. A little bit of Jesus. A little bit of Jesus.
Because of the resurrection.
And then he talked like Michael Jackson. Right? And then he was a monster, right? So he was like 5 things in one, right? No, I don't know. What do you guys think? Who'd you see in that?
No,
Dude, you saw a few
I did
characters,
see
right?
Jesus, but yeah, I agree with the Joker and the rest of what he said.
Yeah, I definitely saw a lot of inspirations from like that movie nowadays. I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's definitely good for 1994.
it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of you, if you're going back, I mean, I watched it originally, but when you go back to these old films, you got to take in the context, right? Like Michelle said.
Like
You know,
during
like
that
the
time, like
technology
technology
back
wasn't
then.
there. Like
Yeah.
visual effects, like CGI was nowhere near there. And the fact that like they did all this work, like about like whatever happened after the production, like it's
Yeah.
amazing that they could pull it off. But special effects wise, it's like it looks amazing. Like
Yeah.
to me.
And even some of the other characters, right? Like you see some blade action, right? With the bad
Mhm.
guys.
And there's a lot of like knife, like
yeah, the knife stuff, or like, I don't know. I saw Matt Morgan with the dude.
There was
with
just
long
so
hair.
many stuff happening at once.
Matt
Like,
Morgan? No, you remember?
No.
Was that Princess
Is
Bride?
he Bat Morgan?
Wait, no, Willow from. Oh, you guys didn't even see Willow, huh?
wait,
Oh,
look,
I've
my
seen the
God.
princess.
Willow Smith?
But okay, anyway, back to the movie. Do you think the main character, Eric Draven, does his quest for vengeance represent justice, or does it blur the lines between revenge and justice? And was was what he did justified?
I mean, I think there's definitely a revenge piece to that, but I feel like he was very exact in what he did, right?
Mhm.
Like he could have killed the girlfriend, but didn't, right? He was like, "Oh, you're the mom of the girl that I take care of, so go be a better mom," right? So there wasn't anybody that was like was collateral damage, right? It was always just the people that were that it did the original thing or got in his way and was attacking him, then he did it. So
Yeah.
I feel like it wasn't really over.
Okay, so do you think it was more justice?
I think it was more justice. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was definitely like more justice because like in the beginning of the movie, I didn't really have any like background of what the movie was. I was thinking like, oh, this person is going to become like an evil villain, but like it was just someone that did so much wrong and has so much love for this person that he came back and like he was able to like see the difference between like who were the good people and who were the bad people. So like for instance, like the good cop that was trying to do his best, like in the beginning, like, you know, like he understood this character and like what he wanted to do, but also like had his like suspicions.
Yeah.
But he never crossed that line of being like fully evil.
Yeah. So like he kept his humanity.
Yeah. And I think that's what the main story of The Crow is. Just like he might seem as this like evil, dark person, but he has like the values and morals of like what he wants to do, but like it can come off as very like a villain, an evil person.
Yeah, dude, if that happened to me, I'd come back to kill everyone, bro. What the hell?
I'd burn down buildings. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody raped and killed.
Shit, I'll burn down villages. Like,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It would be scorched earth.
But what do you guys think about like all like the villains, or not the villains, the people that are in the gang that had to get killed off by one?
Dude, they had some crazy ass names.
Who was that one guy, Fun Boy?
Yeah,
Fun
yeah,
boy.
like fun boy.
boy.
There was Tintin. There was the main
Top
villain's
something.
name is like Top Dollar or something.
Yeah.
Like they had some crazy ass names. What was another one? Skank. Like another guy was named Skank.
Skank?
Yeah, his one
What?
guy was named Skank, and then T-Bird. T-Bird was the.
I want to be
that's
T-Bird.
T-Breezy.
Yeah, overall, like I thought it was like people talk about it a lot, but I think it's because of like what happened behind the scenes that made it such like a bigger movie. But I also felt like in general, a cult classic is what people call it. But like I thought it was overall like a pretty good movie, dealing what they had to deal with, like, you know. But I didn't expect to like enjoy it as much as I did.
Yeah, I love me a good revenge story. So
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
movie was.
Man, some of the weird things for me was like, I don't know. When I first started watching it, like when he swan dived off the roof, but then
Yeah.
he just like landed on his back and was just laughing. I was like, wait, what the heck? The dude just like jumped off the building and landed on his back. Like, remember that other time he jumped off, he landed in the trash bag?
Yeah.
And that's like different because most of the time when people jump off, they like land on their feet or do, you know what I'm saying? And it's like they're ready to fight, but like, I don't know whether that was real. Also, I guess it's just crazy to think that everybody lands on their feet when they jump off the building. I don't know, but
No.
it struck me as like,
I
what
feel
the
like
heck
they
just happened?
did that more to be like, oh, like I'm invincible. Like
Yeah.
I can land like on my head.
Like he basically
Yeah.
just like acquired these new powers that like he didn't have before, and he
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like
And then also in the beginning, I was like, was he turning into the crow or? Right? I thought he was the crow at first. 'cause-
No,
I had a
he can
conversation.
see through the eyes
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
crow.
I had a conversation with Drew earlier, and he was like, "I just watched the movie," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, what do you think?" He's like, "What the fuck is happening in the movie?" And I'm like,
Bro.
"I think it's some fool turning into a crow."
Well, there's like
I know,
40,
but, like,
there's
it's really
40
dramatic right
characters
now.
in there, bro. Like, it's like
There's,
Inception.
Like, have you heard of like mythology, like revenants? In mythology, it's basically people that come back for like a purpose, like usually to kill somebody that wronged them in life.
Yep. And even the transitions, right, between scenes, it was like, I think there was one where it was like, blam, 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 it showed different things, and it was like, psh, and it's just like a whole nother scene. You're like,
I think that's like he was trying to talk about. There's so much going on that like it was
Yeah.
so much
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, the cops were the comic relief. It was so funny. The one with the spilled coffee. We talked about this a little earlier.
Oh yeah, when he like sped off.
Yeah.
Like, psh, and it spills on him.
Yeah.
And then the shootout at the end was very 80s, 90s. It's like some of the guns have like the flashes, some of them don't have flashes, but they're shooting. And like he came out with like two revolver or like two
Oh, yeah,
handguns. He's
they're-
like shooting like 100 times, and you're like, wait, what the heck is going on? that was pretty 80s, 90s ish.
Accurately.
All right, so I'm gonna name a couple categories in the movie, and let's see what you guys' opinions on that. So storytelling wise, what would you give it a score? 1 out of 10. Storytelling, beat by beat. I know it's just like a typical revenge story, but
I mean, I think
A good 8 for
Yeah, I'd say
when it
7.5.
came out, 94.
I'll give it an 8 too. I think it had like story wise, it was good. What about you, Michelle?
I think it had like the main storytelling beats of how you would tell a movie back in the 1990s, because it's very like there's a problem, then someone needs to like solve it, and then they go through all this like trauma and like conflict, and then they solve it at the end. I think in today's society of filmmaking, it's not as complex as it should be. But I think for 1994, I think it was like an amazing movie because it was clear cut and it looked amazing to me. And I thought the Brandon Lee, I've never seen him act, but like I was really impressed by him for this short amount of time that I watched him. Like I've heard about him, but yeah, I was pretty impressed. Out of 10, I would say like it's an 8.5. 1994.
yeah, 7.5. Yeah.
7.5. Okay, what about character appeal? First off, main character. Did you like him? Did you not like him? Did you find him annoying? Or
I like him. I mean,
I would say 10 for a character.
I would say 10 too.
I really
Let
like
alone the hot
character.
factor,
Yeah,
which I didn't know.
he
by
was
the way.
hot. He was like good guy.
But
was
he
doing
like
this.
he didn't like, for me, like I didn't even know that he was really Asian.
what?
He was.
I knew that he was Asian going into it, but I didn't see that he was an
He's
fully
half-
Asian dude.
he's half
Like
Asian.
I know he's half Asian, but like he didn't.
I mean, he had makeup on the entire
His mannerisms didn't really speak that way towards me, and it didn't really digress me from the storyline of this being an Asian dude in the 1994, like being anti-hero. I only bring this up because I know we're gonna digress a little bit, because there's the fact that like there is a villain that was gonna take Brandon Lee's like powers, and this villain was an Asian villain. And then Brandon Lee was like, "No, we got to cut this guy out."
And we'll talk about that.
movie.
We'll cut this
We'll
out
talk
later.
about that in the next. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
So, what about like special effects and like props and designs? Did you feel like it was tacky or like old school?
It was. I think it was all 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there was. I heard there was like a lot of rain, a lot of rain in like all the scenes that were happening.
Mm.
But that's to add to the darkness, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, they were in Detroit. The setting was Detroit, Michigan.
yeah. I thought it was pretty
in
good.
Gotham.
No, it's not.
So, like out of 10, what do you guys rate it? Like
For setting?
visual wise,
Visual wise, I mean, it was kind of tacky, but that's because I feel like that's because it was made so long ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
And there's a certain kind of appeal to that too.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that was like the precursor to like Sin City almost, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like that kind of dark vibe.
I'll give it a 6.5.
And there's
So,
like,
for inspiration, I'll give a good 8.8.
I give it an 8. I mean, because there's like new technology coming out that they were using, so it's good.
Yeah, I would give it like a 7, because I did like enjoy like a lot of like the production design and like all the props they have. But it did feel like I was expecting it to be tacky going into it.
Yeah.
So like my expectations.
I mean, when you look back at like 80s and 90s movies, you're like, what? Right? Especially now with the, like super special effects and CGI, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, you got to keep it in context.
Okay, so when I talk about special effects, I talk about props, production design, special effects, flashes, gun flashes.
Makeup.
When I talk about visual effects, I talk about like computer generated images, and those are different because back in that time, like CGI and visual effects weren't big during that time, so special effects look way better. Like if you guys watch movies today, you'd be like, "Oh, that's so fake" or "so CGI." Like when I watched The Crow, like everything looked really real to me. Yeah.
Oh.
And I know there are like a lot of there's a whole other backstory of like what happened with like the whole props and like the production design and everything, but we'll get into that later. But I only know that like there was CGI in the beginning of the movie. I haven't read about it in the beginning, so I don't know if it's okay to like go through it right now.
I mean, I think we heard that there was the first time they used facial replacement.
Yeah, well, apparently, like I read that like because I don't know if everyone knows that like he like passed away during production, but during the last couple of days of like wrapping, like he passed away because there was improper handling of like using the gun.
Yeah.
And there was like a bullet that was supposed to be like empty, but it wasn't empty and it got lodged into the gun. So then when they were trying to like shoot a blank.
Yeah, as a fragment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, going to that point, that's why they had to use CGI early on because of Brandon Lee's death on the production. So in order to finish the movie, they had to use technology to do that. And so that was one of the first times it was used. And to your point,
and that's so crazy
real.
to me because like AI is literally like currently happening right now, and like there's so many people that like are dealing with like AI like laws and like the shit that goes behind it that like I didn't even know that they were doing that like in 1994 that was like a possible thing. So I would give it like a fucking like 10 out of 10 for them doing that in the intro because like that's
it was
pretty
pioneering.
crazy to me.
I'd say 10. Yeah, I mean. So Michelle's saying it's like they used it, but you couldn't even tell, right? So
no, I had no idea.
Pretty good for that time.
That's right. I mean, I already get 8.8. So.
8.8. That's
right.
All right. Overall fun factor: how much you enjoy the movie, regardless of every other fact.
7.2 out of 10 for me.
8.5 for me.
I'll give it an 8.
I give it 7.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So now we got the ratings. We did the review. Let's talk about some of the deeper thematic,
The real
Yeah.
meat of the
like
story.
kind of like behind the scenes. And let's zoom out a little bit from the movie and talk about, you know, some of the social ties and some of the themes behind the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, you know, one of the things that made it super more famous and more, you know, important is that, you know, that's Bruce Lee's son, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think Brandon Lee was a rising star right at the time.
Yeah, totally.
And to have that happen kind of at that time was just, it hurt a lot of people, especially the Asian community, right? Because for the first time you're seeing somebody that's one of the main characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then even more, I think more hurtful, I don't know, the more painful part of it was that, you know, he was also engaged, right? And so he was supposed to get married a couple weeks after the production ended.
Yeah.
And so having that happen during production, like his widow went through a lot, right? And even then, they called her in to help finish the film. So,
dude, I did not know this. Like, I did not know Bruce Lee had a son. I did not know that he passed. Like, I was so shocked.
So it's also worth mentioning his father, right? Bruce Lee also passed away, you know, in a production-related thing, or right after they finished production, but it was movie-related. So it adds to the disappointment and grief of, you know, of being an Asian kid looking up to both. I mean, Bruce Lee just transcended all communities, you know what I'm saying? And so it was tough.
Yeah, there were a lot of like conspiracies, especially like after his father had passed away, like mysteriously, I would say, after like falling asleep. And like, I wouldn't say like Brandon Lee's death is mysterious because I'm sure there's a lot of witnesses that happen, but it's also very like crazy for that to happen on set. Cause like, I mean, during that time, I was only 3 years old. I didn't know how like film industries work, but like nowadays, like to have like anything in terms of gun like on set is like, you need to be very like mindful and not have to have real gun on the set, but like.
But it just happened again.
Yeah, it just literally happened again. So. Yeah, but I was reading about like what happened to Brandon Lee and like how like the prop person like mishandled the gun. I don't think they mishandled the gun. I just think there was something that happened in the gun where there was like a bullet lodged.
So they were using 2 different types of bullets, right? So one was a blank, right? That's the second one. The first one was a real bullet, but less gunpowder. So it makes the flash, right? And when you load it, it looks like it's bullets. And so a fragment of that one was still in there. So they didn't clear it first. You're supposed to clear the barrel, clean it. But then when you shoot the blank, then that's full gunpowder. And that shot the projectile out like a bullet, basically at bullet speed. Yeah.
So that is basically what caused like Brandon Lee's death was the impact from like this like bullet that was supposed to be like blank.
Yeah.
that they didn't know that was lodged in there. Which is still like kind of crazy to me because like I'm just like dabbling still into VFX, but like we literally have to like put muzzle flashes like in CGI whenever there's a gun. So like I'm just like trying to figure out like what was happening back then during production and what's happening now, and what are like the new inventive ways to make sure like the crew and the cast are safe, because like it's something that like is so scary to think about like what happened like on set. So in visual effects, when let's say I shoot a gun and it's a blank gun, to make it seem real, you just add like a computer generated flash. So it looks like we're shooting something. But apparently now, because they want like special effects or like actual like, it's always been like some type of like shootout from a gun. But now I heard that they're doing like more just like flashes. But back in the day, it was like a lot different. And back in the day, like, you know, like budgets were like really small, and like people that were licensed and properly handling like guns weren't actually like hired. So like I'm not really sure like exactly like where the fault was, but like I don't know, to hear that it's still happening nowadays, like it's like really scary. Like just I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and to bring it back to, you know, just the loss from, you know, just the Asian perspective, right? Like, you look at how many lead roles, right, are Asian males, right? Like, do you guys know how many in Hollywood in the history?
How many?
So I ChatGPT'd it, and the number of films with an Asian lead with a white, because in this one it's a white lady, white or Asian romance or love interest. Guess how many?
Two.
Okay, that's
Three.
4. It's American produced.
Like 5.
There's like 10 to 15 in the history of Hollywood. Right?
Wow.
And then you take away like just American produced with Asian lead and any love interest. What do you think it is?
Any lead with an Asian love interest?
No, with any love interest. So it's an Asian male lead
0
with any love interest. Well, I mean, those first ones count.
30.
Right? So 30. What do you think?
10.
10.
40.
25 to 30 was.
Oh. Dang, that's low.
Yeah. So it's
like just thinking about how many movies there are, that's really
But think about it.
Yeah.
Like it's literally like Brandon Lee is half Asian, half white, in a full relationship with a white girl.
Yeah.
Which is what we see and make fun of nowadays. But like back then, it was very hard to confront. Come on, guys. Like if you guys don't like see like white girls.
I mean, Bruce Lee did it before.
Yeah.
So
I mean, no, but that was fine. I'm just saying, like nowadays, like when you kind of see that, you just kind of be like, oh, this Asian girl is like with this like white guy. But like back then, it wasn't like normal for them to portray that.
Well, that's the opposite.
in a cinema.
Right.
Yeah.
You're saying Asian guy with a white girl, right?
Yeah.
Asian girl with a white guy.
It's like very hard to like.
Well, that's actually on purpose too, because it's all to emasculate the Asian male.
Yeah, which
right?
I'm like, I want to see more of that.
Yeah. More of what?
More of like Asian guys being more masculine and more attractive to like white female
and
versus like white females being more attractive to like exotic Asian guys.
And you gotta remember like the Anti-Exclusion Act, right? There's like a lot of stuff going on that was still in effect in those days too, right? So yeah.
I'm not trying to say like it's like a thing that I'm criticizing. It's just more that's like what's being seen in today's world, and like back then to even like put that in like a screenplay format to have like a half Asian, half white male like have this deep relationship with a fully white female. It's like amazing to put on screen.
Yeah.
Because like people back then like they didn't see that. Like it wasn't a normal thing. Now today it's a normal thing, but back then it wasn't.
Well, it's still not a normal thing.
I feel like it's a little bit more normal now because everyone's kind of like dating different races.
I think it's getting there because of K-pop and like the normalization of Asian male masculinity, but definitely just took off in the last decade, right? Mm-hmm. So I think back then that was groundbreaking, and I think that what adds more, more value to that.
Even when I watched the movie, I was surprised that like the female lead, or like his wife or his fiance was white.
Shelley Webster.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the only name that stuck out with me.
Shelley.
Time.
not Tintin.
No, I don't remember anyone's name except Shelley Webster. I don't know. And then like when I was watching it, I didn't even get like the Asianness from him.
Well, the thing is, he had makeup on the entire time.
I understand
so, like,
that. I totally
he
understand
He
that.
literally had like white.
But I could have seen the
features,
cheeky
like,
eyes.
cannot
But I didn't see the
like,
cheeky eyes. I was like, it's semi-chinky.
It was barely cheeky.
Like I was feeling
Very
it.
cheeky.
Do you have
Oh
any
my
other
God.
questions, Talk?
I mean, no question, more commentary, but you want to go with the next question?
I'll go with the next question. So, do you think Eric's motivation comes more from love or from the anger of losing Shelley?
I think it was both. You know, I think his deep love for Shelley contributed to his grief, right? And then being brought back, that's what really drove him, right?
Mhm.
And so it was all of the above, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think it's both. And I just like learned about like how like The Crow even came about was because like this guy who was like a comic illustrator writer, like he just lost his like girlfriend from a drunk driver, and he was dealing with like loss and didn't know how to like deal with it unless he put it down on paper. So he was just trying to find ways to like relieve his like what's it called, like loss, you know,
Yeah.
for his
Process
girlfriend,
it.
process it by like writing down this story. And he basically wanted to tell a story about like how someone that has so much love for someone could transcend like death and life, and that he came back
Mhm.
from it. So
And
I
I-
definitely think it's like a lot of love for
Mhm.
Shelley.
And I feel like you could really see it in like one of the later like parts of the movie where he like touches Top Dollar's head and then like puts all of his fiance's pain into him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was very meaningful.
It was all like
It wasn't a-
motivated by his like fiance's death, because like you saw so many flashbacks of like Shelley like getting like fucked up and like raped and stuff, and like he kept flashing back that in his head, and like that's why there was so much like anger and hate for him to still like I think survive and like live.
Mhm. What do you think the crow represents?
Me.
Come on.
All right. Sad story. Well, after I finished the movie, I literally walked up to my car and there's a fucking crow going, Gah! And Alvin saw me like jump. I was just like, what the fuck's going on? And then instead of like helping me, my boyfriend just ran away from me. He's like, that's the crow. That's the crow.
I think the crow represents. I don't know. It's hard to say what the crow represents.
All right, let's break it down though.
I mean,
All right.
usually in
What does the
films-
crow represent to you aside from the movie? When you think of the crow.
When I think of crows, a flock of crows are called a murder, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you in the movie the crow represented death,
Yeah.
because whenever the crow was in the scene, someone was gonna die.
Ooh, that was deep.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah, like
Yo, you
that's it.
shooting a gun? What are you doing? over there?
I'm just
How does Eric's character change throughout the film? Does he remain human, or does he become something more or less than human as he exacts his revenge?
Less.
Less human? Really? I think
I think less.
he keeps his
Less
humanity.
human? I feel like I agree with Lou more.
Probably.
I think he like never loses himself in a way, because he still cares for what was the little girl's name? Shelby.
Yeah,
Yeah, he still cares for her.
Wait, I thought that his girlfriend was named Shelby.
No, that's
Shelly.
Shelly. Or no, sorry, Sarah.
Yeah,
Sarah. The
Sarah,
girl,
Sarah.
little girl's name
Yeah.
is Sarah.
Shelly and Shelby. That'd be.
Yeah, well, like the last like ending scene, like after he defeats the final boss, whatever, like he's there with like the cop and the girl, like, and then he just leaves to go, you know, to his girlfriend's grave. But like, I think in the beginning, in the intro scene, they try to depict him as like this villain that's just like fucking up people. But then when they go to the backstory, that's when you realize, oh, this is why this motherfucker is like going off on everyone, because like, you know, he was wronged and like had a vengeance. And like, I think that movie is like, what would you do if that was you? You know, Like I think that whole movie is more like, yeah, you're doing all these fucked up things, but like if you were in that situation, like where do your morals stand? Like where are your values and like what means more to you? And I think that he was able to overcome the evil side of it.
I mean, I think definitely some blurred areas. It would probably be a good case study for like situational ethics, right?
Yeah.
But I think, if you take every scene and every instance, he stayed true, right, to himself and his morals. So,
yeah.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, I really enjoyed the movie, and I feel like they all did. But hopefully there will be more reviews for movies to come. And thank you guys for listening and watching, guys.
And if you have a suggestion of a movie, let us know below.